fight against terror in the West Bank is in focus, with President Isaac Herzog speaking to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas ahead of this week's Eid al-Adha holiday, reiterating the need to fight against terrorism and incitement in the West Bank. The president also condemning the reprisal rampages by Israeli settlers in several Palestinian villages in the past week, after 4 Israeli civilians were gunned down in the town of Eli. And just a short while ago, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and the Israeli president speaking to Palestinian Authority Civil Affairs Minister Hussein al-Sheikh, Gallant stressing that security forces will continue to eliminate terrorist threats, adding that swift action must be taken against terrorist groups. He also says Israel's security establishment is working to bring the Jewish settlers responsible for the attacks against Palestinians to justice. So for more details and insight, our senior diplomatic correspondent Owen Alterman is here in studio. So Owen, we've got Isaac Herzog, the Israeli president, reaching out to Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian Authority president, about a very difficult time in the region and a very important message that he is sharing right now.
Right. I mean, 3 messages. First of all, congratulating him or wishing him a good holiday, the approaching Eid al-Adha holiday in the Palestinian Authority areas and, of course, throughout the Muslim world. Also emphasizing the need to fight terrorism, which is frankly the majority of the statement issued from the president's office, not uninterestingly. And also a short part of the statement, one would imagine maybe a larger part of the conversation, talking about his condemning, again, what had happened in terms of the violence by Israeli settlers in the West Bank against Palestinian civilians in a number of villages in the northern West Bank, which of course has made lots of news here in Israel and far beyond over the course of the last week. But Nita, again, Isaac Herzog going where other Israeli politicians cannot go, right? Visiting the White House, even while there is a bit of a standoff, of course, between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu in terms of offering that invitation to the Prime Minister.
Still not
coming, but Isaac Herzog may be headed for a second round in Washington in the next few months. In terms of pioneering the rapprochement between Israel and Turkey, right? Being the one there speaking with Recep Tayyip Erdogan and taking those first phone calls, making that first big visit to Ankara to meet with President Erdogan and really helping launch the rapprochement between Israel and Turkey, which now extends far beyond the president's office and the president's residence, has taken in other Israeli politicians. And here it's obviously very, very sensitive for Prime Minister Netanyahu politically to be seen here in Israel as speaking directly to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. So here we have Isaac Herzog, who picks up the phone and calls him and delivers that message. And not uninterestingly, Beniti also spoke to this as well. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant speaking with not exactly his counterpart, but as maybe as close as there is to his counterpart in the formerly demilitarized Palestinian Authority, the Civil Affairs Minister. And again, initiating that kind of contact, at least having that kind of contact, and delivering messages that are broadly similar to Isaac Herzog's. On the one hand, being a government that is maybe the furthest right-wing government in Israel's history, where the sensitivity of relations with the Palestinian Authority is very much there politically and among a number of the coalition partners. On the other hand, as I've said so often since the swearing in of this government, there's also reality. The reality doesn't change or bend, and the government needs to adapt to that reality, and that reality demands at least some set of communications and contacts between the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority government. So the government finding a bit of an elegant way to have that happen. Isaac Herzog going out and being someone, again, because of his background as a center-left political figure in Israel and a kind of consensus figure as president, being the one who can go and speak with Mahmoud Abbas, and then Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, seen as more of a professional, a relative moderate in this government, who can then go and have contact with the Palestinian Authority security grounds. And that way, Benjamin Netanyahu can keep this all at arm's length.
And looking specifically at the strategy in terms of the actual messaging, on the one hand, obviously a condemnation of the terror attacks that have been happening, the spate of terror attacks across the West Bank, but also having to make mention of the fact that they are going to rein in the settlers who have been conducting these rampages in Palestinian villages over the past week.
Right. I mean, those are obviously the 2 obvious messages that the Israeli government want to convey to Ramallah and, of course, far beyond. Between the lines, there's a third message which is very important, which is We care about the Palestinian Authority. We care about the welfare in big picture terms of the Palestinian Authority. There are a whole host of things we don't like about Palestinian public policy and about Palestinian education system and so forth. We obviously have reservations from the Israeli government's perspective about how effective or ineffective the Palestinian security services are. But we care about you. We care about you enough to take at least some limited political risks in maintaining these contacts. Of course, not the big risk of Netanyahu doing it personally, but finding other emissaries to be able to go out there and show Mahmoud Abbas that Israel is still interested in the relationship and in the well-being in the final analysis of the Palestinian Authority.